All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about the China vows to crack down on Bitcoin mining FUD that's been going around, that's been dragging the price of BTC down. Now, I'd say the catalyst that basically started all of this, although it's definitely arguable, is when Elon Musk said that Tesla wouldn't be accepting a Bitcoin any longer for its cars. Right after he tweeted that, Bitcoin really started to dip, and then China now says this. Now, they said this a couple days ago, so I'm a little late to the show here, but I kind of wanted to talk about this to the viewers and kind of give my opinion on all this. I really don't think it's as bad technically, and I mean that as in a technical term for the Bitcoin network, etc. This really isn't that bad. We have seen this FUD before. In fact, China banned cryptocurrency exchanges, and that was something like September or maybe November, October or something like that of 2017, and we were at nearly $5,000 Bitcoin at the time, and I remember it went down to about 3,200. Which was a really big dip. I mean, that's nearly like a 50% dip in terms of the actual, solid price of Bitcoin at the time, and that's pretty tremendous. And that's, I think, why Binance moved to Malta, etc. But it was a big sundering, and we all know 2017 it ended up at $20,000. So we could end this year much higher than we are now. So basically, this came out a couple days ago, and investors, from an investment standpoint, it's bad because it's bad news, and everybody buys the news. Buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. And people are selling the rumor when it's bad and then buying the news when it all ends. Because we have seen this over and over, especially with India. We've seen India say, we're banning it. No, we're not banning it. We're banning it. Or no, we're not banning it. They're currently in a banning it phase. And China is now talking about Bitcoin mining and banning that. But this isn't the first time they have discussed banning Bitcoin. Some people just consider this FUD and fake news just because other people come up with conspiratorial ideas that China does this in order to buy up cheaper Bitcoin. And we have seen some fake news come out from China before where people have basically adamantly asserted that this is not true at all. However, it's hard to say if this is actually true or not because the Chinese media is very disconnected, and I'll give it a 50-50 on this one. So China vows to crack down on Bitcoin mining and trading activities as well. So China will crack down on Bitcoin mining and trading activities as part of efforts to lend off financial risks. The country will also clamp down on illegal activities in the securities market and maintain the stability of stock, bond, and forex markets. The statement, which comes just days after 3 Chinese industry bodies tightened a ban on banks and payment companies providing crypto-related services, marks a sharp escalation of moves against virtual currencies. So Liu is the most senior Chinese official to publicly order a crackdown on Bitcoin, and it's the first time the State Council has explicitly targeted crypto mining activities. Well, I disagree with that. There have been FUD in the past talking about bans on crypto mining, etc. But perhaps this is the first time that the State Council actually said it. It's hard to say. But again, one of the most senior Chinese officials publicly was to publicly order a crackdown. So is this official? Is it like the part of the legislation now in China? It's hard to say. It could just be one guy saying, hey, we should ban this. And politicians say things all the time until it actually becomes law, in which they'll do that. So once again, there's a lot of aspects to this FUD that could just be just that, just fake FUD, and that it could be entirely fake news, it could be entirely true, or it could be just some guy, some senior official saying that we should crack down on Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin prices fell sharply again on the news and are on course for weekly losses of more than 50%, and as is Ethereum. Investor protection and prevention of money laundering are particular concerns of governments and financial regulators who are grappling with whether and how they should regulate the cryptocurrency industry. So I was also reading a little bit too that they're sort of worried about the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining as well. And we see this China's largest miner plans to move to North America amid China's crackdown on Bitcoin. So there's a lot of FUD too about Bitcoin's environmental usage. And since basically for a while, this has been a long time coming in terms of people complaining about the environmental impact of Bitcoin. This is not the first time this has ever been touched. In fact, I've read articles over the past nearly 4 years, probably a few times at least on my channel, talking about the environmental impact of Bitcoin and how people are fighting against it in that sense. So this is nothing new. However, I'd say since 2021 or maybe even 2020, we've had this really different approach on the environmental impact of everything in climate change. And I think it's sort of a bad look for some companies to be buying Bitcoin. Now, this is just from my perspective of seeing like how companies operate in their PR. I love Bitcoin. I'll always be buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong here, but companies have this PR about them and this sort of public face that they need to put on. And I think Tesla buying Bitcoin definitely helped Bitcoin, but at the same time, it's a little bit ironic, and this energy company, essentially an electric car maker who's trying to save the world with electric cars, even though it's kind of destructive in its own right with but anyway, we'll go past that one. But just the fact that they're making electric cars, yet they buy this coin that does have a significant environmental impact to it, and they want to move to this guy wants to move to North America now, where there's even stricter regulations on this sort of thing. So I think Bitcoin may find itself in the future here sort of running from its own environmental impact in terms of miners moving around, and then a country will be like, no, we don't want you here, because the truth is, when it comes to Bitcoin mining, it takes a tremendous amount of electricity, especially if you have a whole warehouse filled with ASICs, an unbelievable amount of electricity per warehouse. And it really doesn't employ that many people. So we see like some of the states in the United States like opening up as crypto friendly and trying to give like tax breaks and stuff to crypto miners and Bitcoin miners, etc. The only problem is like when they come in, they get these tax breaks, which is great, because I love Bitcoin, but economically, from an economic standpoint, they're really only hiring a few people. You only need a couple techs to go around and pick out the dead ASICs and solder new parts on them and ship them back. And then when new product comes in, just put it on the shelves and essentially let them rip. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But essentially, you have the manager of the operation and you have a few, wise techs running around. And that's really not the kind of employment that I think a lot of politicians think of when like making these Bitcoin mining tax breaks and trying to encourage them to come in. I think they think that it's going to make a lot more jobs than it is, but it really doesn't. But Zhang Zhao totally nailed it. The operator of one of the leading Chinese mining pools, Lebit Mining, in a recent statement said that his firm would no longer avail joint mining service to Chinese investors amid a growing crackdown on Bitcoin mining by the authorities. The operator also revealed that they are planning to move to North America. Mining in China may change from large to family miners, even if it causes 50% of the mining machines to fail to operate. There is no problem for the Bitcoin system, but the top mining pools may become European and American mining pools. But yeah, just once again, I think, some staking coins and even Cardano is being praised as it's, not damaging to the environment. And we're going to start seeing a lot more than that. I think we're going to see sort of a slight exodus out of Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's... I think it's going to start receiving a bad rap for all of its environmental impact. And I'm not trying to FUD Bitcoin. It just is what it is. And we all know how the world sort of works, sort of cancel culture these days. If something is so environmentally damaging, people are really going to attack it. Maybe with good reason, but either way, we all sort of know how the world is working lately, and I think Bitcoin is going to be on the run for a little while. I think it's going to be more and more so as time goes on, and when Ethereum switches to proof of stake, it's going to be a very, very good look. And then when companies buy Ethereum, They're buying an environmentally friendly cryptocurrency as opposed to buying an environmentally damaging cryptocurrency. It's just how corporations operate. It's all about how they look to the people, regardless if anybody cares. Sort of like making Gillette ads where you're attacking the very men who buy your razors. It's just, right. Like, so it's the way the world is. But anyway, this person basically said the joint mining business will not be opened to mainland China anymore. Joint mining machines only account for a small part of our own mining machines. For this small part of mining machines, it is not worthwhile to take regulatory risks. It is still safe to mine. In the future, we will mainly deploy mining in North America. So, this explains it a little bit more of this FUD. So let's go with the thing on the end that this is entirely true. Well, this crackdown isn't against just any Bitcoin miner. They're not going to burst into your house if you're running an ASIC or something like that in your home. What it is it's sort of like they don't want corporate money or investor money going to these mining farms because they don't want people losing a bunch of money. So if you're investing millions of dollars into these mining operations and Bitcoin sinks to the bottom and you start losing money on the operation, that's what China is trying to ban away currently. It's investor money into this, so you can still invest your own money into this, but not like outside investors into a pool in order to mine together. So it says here, the current situation of Bitcoin mining is not as bad as everyone thinks. One, combining the context of the Financial Stability and Development Committee of the convener of the meeting and the minutes of the meeting. Wow, that's intense. Financial risks and crackdown on Bitcoin mining and trading activities resolutely prevent the transmission of individual risks to the social field. It can be seen that the main spirit of the conference is to prevent and control financial risks, which mainly prevent financial and social capital from intervening in mining, which leads to that is to say, individual mining is allowed and you can bear the profits and losses yourself, but financial capital is not allowed to intervene in mining, which will cause social risks due to losses. So it kind of makes sense. I mean, I definitely don't agree with a ban because I love Bitcoin, but that makes a lot more sense, that they don't want mass financial capital intervening in mining, because if the whole thing goes down, which is very unlikely, sure, we can have dips in Bitcoin, but I'd say more than likely we're going to be at 100,000 rather than, zero type deal. So it makes a lot more sense. So like the people that are sort of running away and selling off everything is just a typical bad news type sell-off, and this is something we've seen again and again and again and again in the crypto world, and this is not the first time we've had some kind of Chinese FUD where they're attacking Bitcoin in such a way or outlawing it or banning mining. This is not the first time. But investors are like horses. They get scared easy. A firecracker goes off somewhere down the road from them and they start bucking and kicking like crazy. This is nothing new in the stock world or the investment world. Also, stocks are kind of going down, or at least last time I looked. I haven't looked in a few days, so give me credit on that one. But pretty much everything is down right now. Even the hash rate a little bit. So I can't really attest to this being entirely due to this Chinese FUD, or maybe Chinese miners are actually picking up and moving, or if maybe them were scared and shut down. I find it unlikely, as Bitcoin miners are typically pretty resolute characters and they continue mining like regardless of the price or the pressure against them. As we can see, many dips, pretty usual dip frequency in the hash rate of Bitcoin anyway. But I think this is something in my next upcoming videos I should probably have just to see how bad the hash rate is actually dipping, and which can greatly affect Bitcoin if it happens quickly, as Bitcoin only changes its difficulty every, I believe it's 14 days. It's the one thing about Bitcoin that I always get mixed up, 7 or 14 days. I believe it's 14. And so if the hash rate dips significantly immediately, before a 2-week period, it can take a significant period of time for blocks to propagate. It can take upwards of an hour, sometimes more. If hash rate dips significantly, then there's not enough people hashing this super high difficulty, and it takes people a long time to even move one block. So that can certainly be bad for sure, but it should correct itself regardless, as it's sort of a self-correcting system. It just happens to only do it every 2 weeks. But moving on, after market-wide meltdown, Elon Musk voices tepid support for crypto. I really like the word here. Somebody was like, tepid. It's just tepid. I would use mediocre, but tepid is good too. I like it. After a crippling market downturn that may be picking up steam this weekend, in a tweet this morning, Elon Musk has voiced tepid support for cryptocurrencies. The Tesla CEO, whose about-face concerning accepting Bitcoin payments for new vehicles last week was widely blamed as a catalyst for the downturn, responded to a Twitter user who asked what he thinks about the peeps who are angry at you because of crypto. It says, the true battle is between fiat and crypto. On balance, I support the latter. So there you go, Elon Musk fans. He may have stopped the dip with that one. I don't know. It is very tepid. But moving on to the final news of the day, Cardano claims fourth spot as Binance Coin BNB slips. So ADA has managed to leapfrog BNB following a difficult week for altcoins. The recent Bitcoin price drop seen an entire market slump and slumped to 30,000 this week. So it's interesting, at the very least. Cardano has a flippin' BNB, and it seems like Cardano has taken less of a hit in this bear chunk we've got going on here during this FUD, the Elon Musk combined with China FUD. It's still at $1.46, and it did, I think, get down to something like $1.09, but it's since sort of snapped back better than the other coins, as Binance Coin was well over $600 and is now down over 50%, whereas Cardano's not really that far down. So doing really well, and I'd like to see Cardano above Binance Coin. And Binance Coin has been doing really great, and BSC also pretty reasonable. I just don't like it because it's centralized. But moving on here to trading view, just looking at Bitcoin, and we can see it just sort of trending downwards, like lower crest every time. It's just not a particularly good sign. However, we did see like resistance in the 30,000. We tried to candle down or shadow down to below 30,000, but there must have been a lot of buy orders at 30,000. It's a pretty convenient spot to slap your buy orders. Some lucky people, putting it all the way down there probably a month and a half ago or something like that. And be like, one day I'll get lucky. And you sure did. You sure did with your order. But I'd say there's probably still a lot of resistance in the 30,000 zone where a lot of people are going to be willing to buy. I think if it dips below that, then there's going to be a lot of buying to bring it back. So we'll have to see. But it doesn't, lower crest every time is usually a pretty bad sign. Plus, we got the China FUD going on. But that should blow over sooner or later. It's hard to say what's going to happen with that. Again, with the hash rate lowering, it's just going to slow down a few blocks. Maybe upwards of 2 weeks tops. But we'll have to see. But again, RSI is pretty consistently below 50. There's a little bit above, a little bit bullish there, but for the most part, this is just overall bearish. VI, is looking really bearish as well. So we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully this snaps back tomorrow to 50,000. This is the kind of thing I love to be wrong about, but it's looking like Bitcoin isn't going to snap back just yet. It's sort of trying in the last little bit here, but we'll have to see. We've been around this area for a while, and I think either way, I still believe in $100,000 Bitcoin. Maybe by the end of the year, this might just be like the mid-year slump sort of deal. Usually, in the mid-summer or late summer, there's usually a little run. It kind of dips a little bit, and at the end of the year, it runs up again. So we'll have to see. Maybe this is just our bearish time. But we got to stop listening to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk definitely has to stop tweeting soon. Just like accept Bitcoin and be cool about it, or don't do it at all. Is really manipulating the market. And this China FUD also doing the same. But remember, investors are just like scared horses. Any kind of FUD that comes along, even the slightest fart in the wind, and they're just kicking and bucking all over the place. So this is just a great buying opportunity for everybody else. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video. Helps me out a lot. Social media in the description below. Give me a follow when you get the opportunity. And as usual, I'll see you guys next time.